welcome to this week's Hit Subscribe Facebook Live with Sparkling Rosé and Lake in the background that I think is washed out and you can't see. But no doubt you'll be able to hear the magical sounds of our hometown here with a train and a boat and some screaming early weekend people. All of this will join together to make a joyous cacophony, and hopefully you will be able to hear us over that. But if you can't, enjoy the atmosphere. It's the weekend at the lake. Thursday night.
And that's a wrap. Tune in next week for what it sounds like in our driveway.
Today, we're going to talk over all the noise about SEO. So I'm going to ask you some of the common questions that we have here, and you will answer, and I will try not to interrupt you to give my own insights, because that's kind of how I roll. I love you. Okay, first, what does SEO stand for? It stands for search Sorry, go ahead. I'm just kidding. I thought it was comic relief. What is search Sorry, what does SEO stand for?
This is so it stands for search engine optimization, and you might know it as that thing if you're only passingly familiar with that, like scammers use to trick the search engine into showing you their garbage content.
Yeah.
Is sort of the rap that it gets. So search engine optimization, what this really means, it's kind of an increasingly, I would say, out-of-date term, because the search engines are getting pretty sophisticated to the point where you can't just optimize them.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's designing content in such a way that people are going to find it through search engines like Google. So you write a blog post with the idea that somebody is going to search for something, and you're going to be answering the question that they're typing into Google. Is kind of it in a nutshell.
I think it might be nice actually to take a short diversion to talk about how SEO has changed from maybe what people used to do to what they do now. Like, back in the day when you had a lot of keyword stuffing, and you'd see the Google snippets and it would just be like your query phrased in every different way you could possibly phrase it. Like, how has that changed?
Maybe we should talk about what keyword stuffing is. So there was kind of like SEO version 1, maybe, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. The search engine, it was pretty simple. If you were searching for a term like, best watches, the search engine originally might just count how many times you said that on your page. So the way to optimize the search engine early on was to just stuff the post with this term. And so for those of you who have been on the internet for a long time, maybe 15 years ago, you remember this horrible content that was like, best watches, click here, best watches,
Best watches for men, best watches for women.
Yeah.
Sorry. See, I'm doing it. I'm interrupting. Well,
so that's probably where it got such a bad rap. Now, what's happened over the last 15 years is the search engines are getting progressively more sophisticated. So stuff like that doesn't really work, and anymore you only see kind of garbage spammers try it, and it actually backfires. It's kind of like, I guess, incarnation 2 was that you couldn't really game the search engine just by simple things like lots of text, but you could go out and get like tons of links and do sort of other stuff, say a lot of stuff in the meta. So if you hovered over a tab, you might see something like, like lots of keywords in the tooltip for the post.
mm-hmm.
Techniques like that are more and more not working, and really the only way to game the search engine is to actually write content that helps people. So is that really gaming it anymore at this point? So I guess if I were going to give it a term today, I don't think I would call it search engine optimization. It would be more like answering searcher questions, and that's really by answering people's actual questions in a way that helps them. That's how you kind of win this game in this day and age.
I really like that. Why is SEO important?
It's not important to everyone. It really depends on how you are marketing your business. If you have a website and you're hoping to bring people in through the website and to kind of qualify them as potential buyers, then it's going to be important. If you're a business that relies a lot on advertising or word of mouth, or maybe you sell like high-end services that are always going to require like sales conversations, it might not be as important to you. If you're relying on your blog and landing pages and stuff, SEO is going to be very important to you, simply because it's going to be the principal way that you bring visitors into your website. Like you can do it by, say, writing a blog post and then tweeting about it and really promoting it. But when you do that, everybody's going to read it when it first comes out, and then that's going to drop to zero. It's not bringing in anybody. By kind of enlisting the search engines to help you bring people to your site, you create this sort of like blue chip, steady state of traffic coming in, and you can really only do that with SEO or answering search queries.
That's a great answer.
Well, thank you.
You're
You have
welcome.
weigh in the thoughts on these if you want to add anything.
I will if I want to add anything. I guess I was thinking what's this is a question that probably wouldn't actually apply to any of our potential customers, but is search engine, this is kind of just something that I'm interested in asking you, is SEO important to a local business that's very much relying on people to come to their physical location, like their brick and mortar place?
If it is a retail location, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So local SEO is a different game. We don't do that. We help
Yeah.
software companies who are almost universally try to appeal to a global audience. So local SEO isn't something I know a ton about. But local SEO is this idea, like if you go right now into Google and you type best Chinese food, what you're probably going to see is a lot of local restaurants. And so that's hugely important. If you're a local Chinese restaurant in this day and age, you want to appear at the top of that. So yes, absolutely, it's an important thing.
Okay. Let me see what's next on our list of questions. So how can blogging help you with SEO? Why would you want to write blog posts as far as SEO is concerned?
So what you might do, let's say you started a company, the thing that would occur to you to do is write a bunch of what are typically called landing pages or product pages, where you start a company, you make a product, and then you write all these pages talking about how great the product is and how everybody should buy it, and you just sit back and wait for the traffic, which probably never comes.
Yeah.
And the reason that happens is because people aren't Googling the internet for how do I give Eric money?
Yeah.
They're Googling and looking for things based on actual pains and problems they have. And it takes a little while to bring somebody from awareness of your product or service to kind of thinking about it and imagining buying it to actually buying it.
Mm-hmm.
And having a blog and using SEO in conjunction with that blog is a great way to sort of nurture that. Take Grammarly. For those of you that don't know, Grammarly is a browser plugin.
Mm-hmm.
You get this browser plugin, and it's kind of like the grammar function of Word everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're writing a blog post, and it gives you grammar corrections.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a thing. If you're watching this, you might have not have known that exists. So if you're if you're typing in, is it okay to end a sentence in a preposition, and you wind up on something that's hey, buy Grammarly, you're just gonna click away.
Yeah, you're
that's
what's
not
this?
Right. But if you Google that and you get an answer from this site called Grammarly in a blog post that's here's why it's okay to end a sentence in a preposition, you might remember that, think, thank you, we appreciate the help,
Mm-hmm.
or I appreciate the help.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you're an aspiring writer, and so you're Googling topics like this a lot, and you keep winding up on Grammarly's site. And then maybe you start to see in some of their posts that says, hey, if you're struggling with this sort of stuff, we have a product.
Mm-hmm.
You become aware of that. And then once you're aware of it, the stage, I guess, of buying, it's called consideration, is you start to imagine your life maybe I should buy this thing. And then only at this point are you ready to go to the product and pricing page and say, yeah, I wonder how much this costs. Maybe it's worth it for me. And so the blog and SEO with the blog is very important for helping buyers, eventual buyers, become aware and then get used to your product. And without that, you got to rely a lot on commercials and sort of, more beat you over the head forms of getting business.
Yeah, I think the critical mistake that a lot of businesses make is assuming that readers are going to go from a problem of I don't know whether or not I can end a sentence in a preposition to, oh sweet, I will buy this browser plugin that I didn't know that I needed. That normally doesn't happen just like that. Also, I would like to point out that your answer that it is okay to end a sentence in a preposition is correct. All right.
Yeah, Grammarly was a good problem domain to pick for you to weigh in there.
Yeah.
That's actually that nuanced consideration is one of the biggest sticking points sometimes we have in discussions with clients where we're trying to convince them to write certain styles of post. Everybody, if you pour your blood, sweat, and tears into a product you built, all you want to do is talk about how everybody needs it and everybody should buy it.
Yeah.
And that is the absolute wrong thing to do with your
Yes.
blog and content marketing, because You want to talk about it, nobody wants to hear it. They want solutions to their problems.
What about if their product is a solution to their problem? Is it okay to plug the product in the post as long
You can do that, like done right.
done right? Yeah.
If legitimately the thing they're Googling is like, this is a little obtuse, but for this example, if you're Googling like, is there a thing where it'll correct my grammar in WordPress? Then if Grammarly writes a blog post that's like, here's how to do grammar in WordPress. By the way, we make something like this. It costs however much. Yeah, that's okay. That can work. But what you don't want to do, and this is where you get into more like kind of spammy stuff that people might do, is target some keyword like, grammar mistakes in WordPress, and then actually write a post with that title that's all about why you should buy Grammarly. Number one, that's a crappy thing to do. Number two, it won't work anymore because Google won't rank that page.
Yes.
Because Google and the other search engines, they're smart enough that they can detect if you click on a result and you immediately click back. They know that. They know that as a reader you don't like that post. And that's what people do when you have a bait and switch with a title. You don't read it. You get angry and you hit back. The search engines figure that out, and they'll bump you right down.
Honestly, knowing a little bit about SEO has changed the way that I conduct myself on the internet now. So if
do you punish bad
Yes,
actors?
I punish them. If I click on a post and I see that it's like an ad for their product, I hit the X button as fast as I possibly can, and then I might even do that again a couple times just to give as many quick bounce rates as I possibly can. I am a vengeful woman.
That is savage. You should write like a script that does it automatically.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Going back really quick to the how does blogging help you for SEO? How valid is it that the search engines will favor you if you are pushing content on a regular basis? So if you have regular click cadence on their blog and they know that your site is being refreshed with content over and over, is that helpful for SEO in a way that isn't related to keyword research or queries?
The short answer is yes, probably. The long answer is the search engine's algorithm for ranking content is so complex and opaque that there's a whole industry of people out there that will claim to really know how it works, but nobody for sure knows how it works. Everybody's running experiments and kind of guessing.
That's a good point to make too.
But the short answer is generally the search engines seem to favor freshness. If you're producing a lot of content, like if you do something that makes your site faster, or if you add content to a blog post, you'll often see a bump in that post.
Do you think it's just because they know you're active?
Got some bugs out here. I don't know. It probably changes based on a variety of factors, but generally keeping your content fresh and up to date is a good way to rank.
And an interesting point you're making is that you don't know, and also nobody knows, and if they claim to know, unless they're working at Google and leaking some stuff,
Yeah, unless they work at Google and they're telling you stuff that probably under NDA they could be sued for telling you.
Yeah. So let's go to what is domain authority.
Domain authority. Sorry, watches. I just got a new Garmin thing and I'm not used to all the notifications. As an aside.
Sorry, is your wrist buzzing?
Yes.
Okay.
So domain authority, summed up, is it applies to your site, which is called your domain technically, and it's the idea that it's kind of the best way I could describe it in a succinct soundbite is it's how much do the search engines trust your site, and this is a function of a lot of things. One of the main things we're finding with some experiments we're running is that a big factor in how much the search engines trust your site is how accurately do you answer reader questions. But another big, and this is more historical, another big factor there is inbound links.
Yeah.
So are a lot of other sites linking to your site?
Yes.
And if so, are those other high authority sites? If you have sites with .edu, .gov, if those types of sites are linking to you, the search engines say wow, the government and educational institutions view you as a source. That's good with us. So kind of in aggregate, domain authority is your trust factor with the search engines. And the higher your domain authority, the more likely any given page or post is to rank.
Can you talk about the gamble that you take when you pay an institution like Fiverr for thousands of backlinks to your site? Is that a worthwhile gamble to take?
This is known in the industry as Blackhat SEO, where what you're trying to do is so the search engines have like established guidelines and sets of rules. And this is all kind of developed around those early days of the keyword stuffing, where the search engines figured out people were doing that, and they said, "Hey, don't do that." And what we're going to try to do is figure out if you're doing that and penalize you. And since then, it's been this game between sort of front runners trying to game the system and the search engines trying to figure out who's gaming the system. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, the search engines take a lot of inbound links to your site as a good sign, but they want you to have inbound links that were created organically, where other sites are reading your content and saying, "Hey, this is good, I should link to this." Mm-hmm. What people have taken to doing over the last decade is paying very, very low cost labor people to go and spam out lots of emails like begging for links, or to even literally offer you money in exchange for a link, like, "Hey, I'll give you $5 if you link to my site." Mm-hmm. If the search engines detect that you're doing that, they will banhammer you and de-index your article and maybe even your site. So you can try to do that, and I think usually when you do, you will see a boost in your rankings initially, but they figure it out sooner or later, and it is not. I would not do anything knowingly running afoul of their guidelines. It's just not worth it if you're making a long-term investment.
How unrepairable is your reputation if Google has blacklisted you as a spammy site?
I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Okay.
It is not something we trade in, so I don't have a lot of direct experience.
So
I think probably if you get hit that way, like I could see this happening in two ways. One, you're a genuinely good faith site, and something happens where you're hacked or something, and I think you can recover from that. If you're doing that because you're not established in the first place and you're trying to get established, it's probably better to just give up on that domain and start a new one and learn from your mistakes.
Okay, one last thing. Where do you start if you're new to SEO and you have a low domain authority? So your website, Google has not said your website is like a high authority site yet.
So we're talking about you've created a brand new site. What do you do?
Yeah.
I'll say two things. So first of all, if you're looking to learn about SEO and you're brand new to things that way, I do a lot of reading of blog posts and videos from two sites, Moz.com and ahrefs.com, so AHREFS. If you're a web developer, you'll know what that means, ahrefs.com. And those two sites put out a lot of video content and a lot of written content that really walks you through some of these concepts. Mm-hmm. If your site is brand new, like if you're just creating a new website, here is the absolute thing I recommend the most. Go to Google and start typing in questions, like actual questions. And you're going to be looking for two things. Number one, when you Google something, there's this little widget that comes up saying people also ask. Mm-hmm. And number two, as you're typing something in, see what questions Google's auto-completing for you, because both of those things are Google, or Bing or whatever search engine you're using, but Google being the dominant one. Google is literally telling you, I know that people search for this. That is the clearest, you can go out and get all these tools that give you like keyword volumes. They're all estimating. This is the one instance where the search engine is literally telling you what people search for. So type that in, and then once you've typed in that question, look for instances where people kind of speak in the results to the question, but nobody's directly answering it. So, like what is the best watch for diving, that won't break or something. And if you see that nobody's directly answered that, and you want to do this assuming we're talking about stuff that's like related to what you're selling or talking about on your website,
right.
Like don't just go do anything. But if you're looking to sell watches or something, and you say like, what is the best watch rated for, 20 to 30 feet underwater? If that's a question that people are typing into Google and nobody answers that question directly in the search, write a post that literally answers that question in detail, 800 to 1200 words, and then post that and just do that over and over. What happens when you do that is that even though you don't have much authority, when Google finds you, and it'll probably take for a new site 3, 4, 5 months, but when they start finding those articles and trying them out, you are giving such a great answer to that question. It's a low competition question. And you're giving such a good answer that they'll rank you, and you will rank number one, even though maybe it might be as few as 20, 30 people a month searching for that. The ones that do, they click on your site, they read the article, and then they close the search because you've answered their question. The search engines love that. And if you do that over and over and over again with, write 20, 30 articles like that, the search engines start to view you as trustworthy. And so when you start trying to rank for more competitive terms that more people are searching for and other sites are already asking, that's when they start trusting you. So that is absolutely, positively the one thing I would do for a brand new site. And I will say that we did another video about Make Me a Programmer. We've run an experiment with this and it's working. So we've written something like now 12 articles. That's it, like a brand new site, kind of a garbage theme. Like the whole point was to run an experiment to see if you just did nothing but answer search questions, no promotion, no nothing, could you rank? And those 12 articles are now giving us more than 500 searches a month. So like this absolutely works.
Really quick question: if you're typing in these searches, how important is it to do in incognito mode?
What are you searching for?
What? Come on, no, you know what I'm asking. Because like you wouldn't want like it to know your previous searches and start like being like, maybe you want to know more. Of like if I start searching about like I just ordered some ISO microchips for the cats, and if I start doing searches for cats, it might start suggesting things about microchips because it already knows what I was looking for. So
it's not important for what I was just talking about.
Okay.
Searching in incognito, if you want to see where you rank or you want to see where things rank, kind of the official search engine results page, incognito is important. And the reason for that is the search engines, in creepy Big Brother fashion, they learn your preferences.
Right.
So they will adjust the rankings to you individually.
Yeah.
So what you want to do when you're seeing what ranks where is go into incognito mode, which sort of, completely gets it out of the business of knowing anything about you. If you're looking for auto suggest or auto complete or Google suggest, like the questions, it doesn't matter. It'll show you the same questions no matter who you are. The only exception being if they're in purple in Google, those are things you've searched for before, so it will autocomplete stuff if you've searched previously for it. So that shows up in a different color, but watch out for that. So if you're seeing, like if you searched a lot in that space, then you might want to go into incognito just so you're not seeing stuff you've searched for. It's a good question.
I learned something today. Thank you.
Well, if nothing else, that happens. So. Well, this is a good one. We could put this one up on YouTube and
all right.
repurpose.
Yeah, hopefully you don't hear the sound of the jet ski and it's drowning out all this wonderful insight from you.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We will catch you next time. Same time, same day. Maybe not the same place. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe a quieter place, but less scenic place. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Next week.